one too. Like, didn't Lindsay Lohan move to Greece and then get one?
Dubai. Well, she lives in Dubai now with Beador
I-
Shamus.
Okay, maybe it was Dubai. Anyway, well, I thought didn't she go move to Mykonos and they were in Mykonos and that's where she had a reality show and she ran the club?
Yes. Yes and
Okay.
yes.
Well,
Yes,
anyway,
yes. It lasted for one season, and yes.
to your point, many of them have it. So I think this is probably true of Pandora, don't you think?
Handy, darling, come out, wherever you are. Mama Lisa will still love you. People were very, very, very impressed, by the way, on YouTube in the comments with your Lisa Vanderpump accent 2 weeks ago. They were very impressed.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah.
I'll have to bring it up more. Okay. All
You
right.
might
I love
have to
it.
you might have to start doing accents,
Oh
darling, in your spare
God.
time.
An English one is the only one I could ever attempt. I am not an impressionist.
People love when I do my impressions too, but yeah, I appreciate the love, but I don't in any way, shape, or form purport to be good at it. I do my Jersey accent, but I think
That's really good.
people like when I do the little scenarios, like, like Teresa's at home and the phone rings and it's like Louis and it's like, it's Andy Cohen and blah, blah. And I have to be in the mood. I have to feel it. But anyway, I agree. I think this story about Pandy could be true, but Kristen, girl, as you wrap up filming Vanderpump Village, you ain't getting back in Lisa's good graces. And what is up with Vanderpump Village? It's wrapped. Jax just had the opening of Jax's Studio City, like the soft opening for friends and family and media. And there he revealed that Vanderpump Village, Vanderpump Valley, it's wrapped. So we have Dodie, we have Jax, we have newbies. When are we going to see this? And I'm wondering, is this going to end up on Peacock or is this headed to Bravo? I just don't know. I just don't know.
You have a way better sense of it than I do. I have no clue. I just was kind of enthralled with Jax's story of if he actually got a flight turned around that was on its way from where? New York to LA or something. Like he was on Watch What Happens Live and explained that to Andy. So I have no idea about Vanderpump Village. If anybody knew, you would. If your spidey senses say it's going to Peacock, it probably is. And when Jax was on Andy's show, he alleges that, yes, they did turn the flight around, but they were like just pushing back from the gate while they were board. He had a first class ticket. He had to tell us. He reclined his chair. The chair, when they, were saying, okay, we're going to be like pushing back. Everybody has to be seated up, seat up. His would not go back up. And they said, you can move to coach. And he said, no, I refuse to move to coach. I've paid for this first class ticket. And they said, well, you can deboard. And so he claims there was far less drama, but he did hold up the entire flight. I mean, they went back to the,
For what? To fix the
area.
seat? I mean, that I know. I just don't know what.
They kept the seat. No, he deboarded the plane. They got him off the plane and he picked another flight.
Here's what I would like to ask. I'm going to be serious. So, like, I fly back and forth all the time to LA, to New York, every other day. It literally, unfortunately, no bragging. This is a miserable life. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. Why couldn't you sit and coach to take off? And then when you're in the air, go back to first class and recline and have all of that. Now, I also have to tell you, I have certain seats that I prefer, but I also like to jockey for flight. So if I did this the last time I was in LA, I had my wallpaper installed. I'm not leaving LA anytime soon, guys. I'm putting up wallpaper. And I had a flight. I thought that would take a certain amount of time. I had a flight home at 9:30 that night. When I realized how quickly this guy was going, I'm like, I'm now going to change my flight. Now I changed it to earlier and I still got the choice seat that I needed. But if I didn't, my point is I would have sat in the last row on the plane just to get home. I can't say home because my home is in LA, just to get back to the Hamptons earlier. See what I'm saying? I think sometimes in life we have to be low maintenance. So I don't see why Jax couldn't have just gone to sit and then move back. That's all.
The exact same thing. Now, maybe it's a safety issue. Like maybe if even midway through the flight, if he can't bring his chair up, that could be a
Maybe.
safety issue. Like they can't have that seat occupied. I thought the exact same thing, but
he copped to it. He copped to it on Watch What Happens. He was like, sorry, I wanted to sleep.
I tend to agree with you. I think he could have gone back to coach and then come back to first class. But I personally got from that interview, he didn't even want to go back to coach. Like it was like when they were like, sir, you're going to have to, because you know this, when you take off, it can be 30 minutes before they even take the seatbelt sign off and tell you that you can walk around the cabin, regardless of if you're in first, business, whatever. You get up there, they're like, there's turbulence, we're keeping the seatbelt safety sign on. I mean, he can't just he could move back, but you're not supposed to, right? So I took from that interview, he downplayed it immensely and he didn't even want to be seen in coach. So it was like, oh, no. You're going to get me on the next first class flight and take me back, I think.
This is where it's like, now listen, I am not starving to death. I've done well for myself in life. I realize, because I have to check myself. I have to check myself often where I'm like, do you need a third Louis Vuitton this month? Do you need, the cleaning lady every minute? Would never, ever. So my point is, when something like this happens, I realize just how down to earth and just real I am. This is about me now. I would never, ever, ever
me
in a million years turn an entire plane full of people around because I didn't want to be seen in coach. And you can deposit another $10 million in my bank account right now. I still would not be that person. I'm just not that person. I'm just not.
No, because he should understand, of all people, there are people on that flight with children that like every minute counts, okay? Because your kid is either melting down, they're not going to sleep, they're going to miss a bedtime. It drove me bananas. I flew recently from New York back to LA with my son, and there was a fucking asshole who had done drugs all day and got on. His eyes were like rolling back in his head. It took like 18 United Airlines officials to make the call and, the local police. And, it's like my son's.
How much delayed were you? How many hours?
Over an hour. And then that pushed back our takeoff time. And people were so angry. It's like, dude, go fucking do meth when you land. Like, I mean, it's so unfair to other people. And I would be really angry at Jax because he knows with kids, it was so awful for my son. And I wasn't the only parent on board. Like, there are other parents. The kids are screaming. Go on.
I had a fucking whore. I had a whore on my flight. This mother whore.
I believe.
She was a whore. Okay. She was a whore and she had a kid. This fucking, everyone doesn't want me to use the word with a C, but that's what she was. She was a whore. So this bitch, okay, now I'm riled up. This bitch takes the baby seat and is sitting there with a baby and they say, ma'am, you cannot take off with a baby seat in the seat. You have to put it under the seat, whatever it was. No one was paying attention. This CU